G'day everybody and welcome to some more Space Engineers. And I've been pondering doing this for a little while, basically since the Apex update, finding out just how hard Europa is and whether there's actually a way to make it an easy start. The reason that Europa is a difficult start is that it effectively has no stone. I think there are technically a few bits of stone somewhere on the moon, but with very little stone, it means you've got your starter pod, and if you're on Steam, you've also got your unknown signals, and you can use that to get all of the... and you have to use that to get all your stuff, which is kind of tricky when you need to grow food before you starve. But I'm not sure how rare the stone is, because I haven't really... other than digging all the way to the center and going, yes, there is definitely no stone down deep. You cannot dig deep and get stone. Number of people who tried to convince me about otherwise, and then I go into vanilla and I'm like, no stone. There's definitely no stone when you dig down, but there may be some patches in spots, or there might be tiny bits of stone next to the ores, which I'm kind of curious as to whether we can find. So basically, my idea for this stream is see how quickly I die, and then see what we need to find in order to make this work. So I'm going to play this through in survival. I'm going to put solar radiation on heavy because, well, if you're playing on Europa and you're looking for pain, there's pain right there. And I'm going to kind of use this as a way... oh, got the mosquito. Yes! That's been buzzing in my ear for the last few minutes. It was driving me insane. So, yeah, I'm curious as to how this is going to go. Because I can be safe from the solar radiation by just building a little cover. That's easy. The main thing will be getting enough food. Now, I have got my what I call my quality of life mods, which are build info, build vision, UFOs, bullet trails, clean and vibrant post-processing so that we don't have all the muck, welder no eye damage, sneaky sounds, a clear camera, camera panning. Most of these are here because I use this as like my decorative save option, but there's no real gameplay changes except maybe you could argue long-range searchlights are, but not really. And no ship-friendly fire. So yeah, it's mostly just, hey, this is how I usually interact with Space Engineers and I don't want to change that. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I have left everything pretty much at normal. I've enabled all the usual stuff down here that I do, like the unsafe talks, and of course turn off block limits, even though I don't expect to ever run into them. I just turn them off for pretty much every save I make. And let's go. And yeah, long range light on Europa is probably not particularly important because Europa is relatively flat and it doesn't have trees. So there's not much to worry about there. Thank you Python, thank you 2-Bit Hacker, thank you Zero for the Prime subs, and thank you Dominator for 30 months. PAX was good fun. I've got more little short interview things to post, and I'm also going to be keeping an eye on one of the games that was back at PAX again this year, Spies and Soldiers, which is going to have a single-player mode releasing sometime either later this year or early next year. Missed that mosquito. Dang it. There are a lot around. It is that time of year. You're going to hear me doing that from time to time. If I go silent and then you hear a clap sound, you know what's happening. And lastly, before I spawn, thank you Sensimac, thank you for 19 months, and thank you Shikaru for the bits, and Cryptonomicon, and One Free Gamer, and Inherited Drake for the Prime subs. Cool. And thank you Kestra. Thank you for the tier 2 for 11 months. Hopefully this is a treat. Hopefully this is actually kind of fun and we all learn something. Because I've been wanting to do since the Apex update, I've been thinking about doing a video looking at all the different spawns. And I thought, let's go Europa first before I look at how nearly impossible doing the space start is now. When you re-enable the space start, you spawn in with 20 of everything. Doesn't work well. Alright, so we got a beacon for a trade station. I'm pretty confident that that beacon is in space. Static, no, I have not considered slathering myself in hot sauce just to upset the mosquitoes. No, that feels like a great way to get hot sauce in places you definitely do not want hot sauce. But if I head in this direction, I'm sure I will come across some ore deposits, and we can see if there's any little chunks of stone in amongst the ores, because that's kind of where I was thinking might be the way to go with this. The other option I was thinking about is... obviously, whoa, that increases quickly in this mode. Okay. What? How am I not in the shade? Alright, never mind. No, I need to get out. I need to put things on my hopper. Oh, right, progression. That's gonna add some challenge. But basically, I was thinking... algae farm. The half algae farm is fairly compact. I can put a rotor on here and get the algae farm on the top, and then you can drive around with an algae farm. That's pretty straightforward. Rotors, advanced rotors are squishy, like they're fairly short, so you can fit them on pretty easily, and doesn't necessarily need to be piped. That's not a big deal if it is or it isn't. But yeah, the... ow! Really can't stay outside very long right now. Yes, the sun is a deadly laser. Thanks, Fallout Dragon. Thank you for the gift sub. Any bets on death counter? Less deaths in this than there will be when I inevitably do my space start. The space start is, I already started testing it, and I think I died... oh... must have died about 12 times before I was like, hey, I gotta go do some other work now. Oh no, I turned on sun radiation when I was doing the space start. Can I see any ore markings? I don't really remember. Oh, yep, there we go. We're on the top one now. Power slide. Oh, Europa. Oh, is Europa? Europa's radioactive. That's why I'm not able to escape it. Okay, let's go down. Let's have a look around. Hey, of course I'm going to complain about the things that are difficult. Whether I did them to myself or not. Because I usually do them to myself. No, space start hasn't been broken. I did a space start not that long ago. It was actually really easy. As it turns out. It's like it's really not hard to do a space start. Probably a little bit harder with the latest update, but with all you have to do is go to the unknown signals, not the Steam ones, but the ones that are titled, instead of like the beacon that we can see being TFIV, the ones that are tagged UNKN. Because those are neutral, you can take them over, and you've just got to get to them. So it's really about restarting until you get a couple of those in a row, and you'll be good. So it's really not that hard to do a space start when you don't have food enabled. But since the latest update, you spawn in with only 20 health and 20 oxygen. And my feeling at the moment is it might not actually be possible to get going from there. Okay, so it's just straight into iron. This, I don't think, drops any stone. Ow. Even though it looks like it has stone texture. Let's just hop in before I completely die. Yeah, I've just picked up ice. So what I think might be needed to be done is it's either try and drift off into space, but I think I'll die from the solar radiation before that happens. Yeah, Redshirt, you can, the reason I've tried out the space start with all the default settings is because that's kind of, when you set yourself a challenge in a game, it's usually best to do the default settings. Okay, that didn't work. I thought I had enough time to get my health back, but I should have waited. Will the trade station help? Yes, but I think the trade station is in space, but I may as well drive while I'm in the cockpit. I don't need to hang around here. So my thinking is, build what I need to in order to get a rotor and see if there's just barely enough steel plate on this to make a refinery. I don't think there will be. You need about 100. I don't think even if I take all the steel plates out of the wheels and everything else, I don't think I've got enough. Be interesting to find out. But basically, Europa is pain. Or is it? Was my thinking. Anyway, so... Thanks, Kestra. Thank you for the 500 bits. Thank you, Too Specific. Thank you for the sub. Finding iron here is easy. That's not a problem. The challenge is refining it at the start, because you don't have enough materials to refine it. To make a refiner. Refinery. No. 30 mile. That is not true. I am curious if there is a way to do this differently. To make it so that that my comments to Wasted when he was encouraged to do this by his chat, which were, oh god, why did you let them encourage you to do that? Were wrong. Is there actually a methodology that can be used here that's makes it into, hey, this is actually that bad a start? I was actually thinking about the pain versus difficulty thing Wasted on when I was dropping Toby at daycare this morning. I was like, what really is difficulty? And in Space Engineers, it's hard to define. Because it's like, difficulty in a lot of games is trying to combine a sequence of actions that requires specific timing and all that sort of stuff, where in Space Engineers it's more like, how much pain are you willing to suffer through to get to your end outcome? It's what most of the difficult scenarios out there tend to be. There we go. Confirmation that is in space. Yeah, my goal here is to try not to use unknown signals, but rather see if there is another method. Yeah, I kind of wish I could turn ice off from the ore detector. Alright. Let's think about this. I stop in the shade somewhere around here and hope that I've found some... If I just stop in the shade, I can see what we can actually get done. So, to unlock rotors, we've got build a battery. That's not going to happen. Is there another rotor? Unlock path. Yes, build a solar panel. Also not going to happen. Dang it. That does appear to be the only options for unlocking that. Which means you have to get an assembler first. The basic assembler is only 80 steel plate. So let's start hacking some bits off and see how much I can remove before things start to fall apart too badly, and see how much steel plate I can end up with. The wind turbine, I think I've got the same problem. Because I need girders, and nothing on here has girders unless the ladder does. I don't think it has enough for a wind turbine. So it needs 24. And this, yeah, I don't think there are any blocks on here that have girders. So I think getting a basic assembler and just placing it, building it. Although I don't think we're going to have enough computers. What's a way we can get a little bit of stone? No, the ladder does not have girders. It just has construction components, small steel tubes, and interior plate. No, I don't think there is enough here for an assembler. So I'm just trying to think of other options we've got. Well... Why am I hearing music all of a sudden? What the heck? Where is that coming from? Yeah, I just turned off the music, just in case it's YouTube not friendly. Where the heck did that come from? I'm so confused. Hey, Shaq. How's it going, mate? I don't know. All right, hang on. That's right, we start with 500. Can I get 24 of these out of that? I certainly can. So we can make a wind turbine. Yes, that's right. Because we do start with a little bit of material. I forgot about the 500 iron you start with. See you, Wasted. Jack, did you come through that storm okay? Can't be reassuring having your lights flicker. Never feels good. Wait, did... Nothing happen on... I'm just wondering whether I've got, like, some window open somewhere. It doesn't look like I do. Huh. I have no idea where that music came from. That's weird. Storm's over mostly. Had some crazy flooding in town, but we got by okay. Oh, good. Is your boat okay? Alright, let's grab wind turbine. And interior plates. Let's grab the stuff from the ladder. Entrance to the boatyard was underwater, but yeah, it's fine. Had a bit of water inside, so I found new leaks that need fixing. Yay! That's what you're after, isn't it? Ow. 8 motors, 2 computers. Manufacture those while I'm in the cockpit. So I'm almost certainly going to need to restart and do some of this stuff more quickly, but we'll keep going blind for a while, because I think that's fun. While I'm sure Shaq agrees with chat that it is better to find the leaks before your boat is at sea, it doesn't... I imagine it does not make you feel that much better about said leaks. I imagine the leaks suck no matter when you find them. Oh no, was that one you already fixed too? That's even worse. Okay. So let's have a look at the G menu, because I can do that from the cockpit. I forgot. So now we have made a wind turbine, which means I have access to rotors and such, which is good. So I can build a rotor on top, and then we can try and get a basic refinery. That's what I'm going to try and do. Because if we can get a basic refinery, then we bypass all of the issues that Europa has. Because with a basic refinery, we can refine all of the materials. We can get the iron, we can get the nickel, we just have to find the deposits for it. And that to me, is... we've beaten Europa. Rotor. Ah, poop. Too slow. Also not on a level enough ground for this to work. So let's fix that. No, so rotors and hinges can spawn small versions of themselves if you're using the large grid one, but they cannot spawn the small grid versions. Sorry, the large grid version from the small. You have to place it. Do I think new players should play with progression off? Honestly, I don't think it matters. I'm always going to teach with progression on because that's the default. And if it's the default, then it's what I should teach. No. Let's try that again before I get it radiated too badly. Hey, that one should work. Seriously? You won't attach? Arrgh. Huh. No, the progression does not make a lot of sense. I will never deny that, but I tend to like it for these challenges because it provides some sort of weird extra steps you have to take, and it means that it adds some challenge. Okay, hopefully I can get one to attach now. There we go. Got it there. Alright, now we can try and build this thing. Lower limit. Upper limit. Lock it in place. Reduce our displacement as much as possible. Then we'll place our thingo. First try, yes! Totally, 100%. No question. Also, that is not 0 degrees, Rotor. That is not 0 degree. Whatever. Okay, I can get how many more computers from other things? Ah! A lot. Get you to bounce if I do this slowly, because sometimes that works, and this is a nice little distraction for me as I... Oh yeah, that's working. While I wait for my radiation to go down. No, 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 no. Don't you keep going further. Yeah, for some reason, when you do these adjustments too quickly, it then just goes, nah, I'm past the angle now, it doesn't matter. Thanks, Jano. Thank you for the Prime sub. And thank you, Keldux. Thank you for 42 months. Great, now I need to load SE and play along with this crazy plan. Well, it might not be a crazy plan in the end. We might find that this works. That's what I'm kind of curious about. I feel like there might not... It's one of those things that might not be as bad as it seems. And if it's not, then I'll make a shortened, edited video about how for every start. Which is what started me on this path of being like, how bad are these things? Because it was like, and also thinking about, I want to do some speedrun starts again, because that was fun. For a time, anyway. It eventually gets not fun. But I wanted to do some of those again, so I'm like, alright, where should that challenge be from? Where's the... Should I do Earth to Mars again, or should I do something different? Should I do Alien to Earth? Speedrun home. And there's so many different options now that might be variable that I wanted to try out all the starts. Where's my radiation at? 12. Good enough. Okay, what's going to give me computers without causing me to die? Air vent? Yes. So 3 more computers. We can take those from antenna. Ore detector I do need. Battery I obviously do need. Don't think... Unless... Can I get into the event controller? Oh, the parachute's under there. I can get that. So we'll get rid of the parachute hatch. Grab all its stuff. That's left us at 1 more computer, and then mostly steel plate. And the event controller is underneath the ore detector. Can I rebuild that? Well, that was a mistake. Forgot about that. Whoops. Oopsie. I think, though... Yes, it's unlocked by the basic refinery anyway, so that's okay. That is okay. Right. Why is that? Yeah, that was weird. Oh, my gyro's there. Do I need... let's grab these bits out anyway. So now, get all the steel plate that I can from things that I can steal it from. And then see how much of my remaining iron I need to use to make the remaining steel plates. Because I should, I think, actually get pretty close to this. Only need another 62. Yeah, Shaq. I'm thinking that getting started here is one of these, how much can I take off my rover to get started? But if I can get this refinery done, it actually will come together quite quickly. Because then I can refine some iron, make the other bits that I need to then make an assembler and make a proper base, and then I've got a base on Europa and I can just refine normal ores. And it's just, then it's just being irradiated all the time. So hopefully it's possible. Thanks, Beldenik. Thank you for the 100 bits and the rainbow unicorn. I don't know whether they would have tried all of the starts or not. I don't know. I don't know how quick the turnaround might have been, but how many steel plate in those? 4. Nice. So I'm going to be carrying some large steel tubes, but that's okay. Probably put them in my cockpit. So that's taken us just to 50 steel plate needed. $46. How much iron is needed for 46 steel plate? Calculator. 7 times 46. 322. And we have remaining 396, so I can do it. Let's do it. No, if you look at this, while this was tight for getting a refinery, it is doable. So I really wouldn't put it past Aragath to have tested this at least once and been like, okay, can I build a basic refinery onto this rover? Yes, I can. Good enough. I don't strictly need to rebuild the detector. But yes, I can easily do that. Because what I can do is I can take parts out of the basic refinery to build the detector, to then find the iron. When I find the iron, I stop, I rebuild, I dismantle the ore detector to rebuild the refinery so that I can refine it. Survival cannot disassemble. So the goal is, and I think it has to be done in this order, build a basic refinery, so then you can refine some materials, build a basic assembler with those materials, and then you got a basic refinery and assembler, and then you use those to build enough power supply to power themselves, and then you're kind of fine. Thanks, Corn Dog. Thank you for 2 months. I actually don't think this has worked out about as easily as I was kind of thinking it could have. Like, it can be easy to do these things if you think through all of the different options available. Because there's the temptation, I think, to, when you're doing these things, look at unknown signals as your solution. And I think it's an understandable temptation, and it's the sort of thing that I would have thought to do myself until I decided to make it a bit more of a challenge and go like, all right, how do I do it without that? But I think unknown signals just kind of slow you down. The challenge, of course, is still getting enough food that I'm not going to starve, because food is going to get tight, because there's obviously, unless spiders attack here, but I don't know if that's the case. I can't remember. So we need to go back and find back to that iron that I dug up before, and I have no idea what that is. Although I can rebuild the autotech now, can't I? Because I haven't looked it. Kind of want to stick this spinny one somewhere, but yeah. Actually, the spinny one was probably a bad idea. Because that spinny bit may interact with... Storm inbound. It may interact with the rotor when I eventually put it back on. Yeah, if only I'd marked it. I stupidly did not think of that. Nor actually read anyone in chat saying it. That's not saying no one said it, it just means that I didn't read it. Blammo. Oh, that's not good. That's... Yeah, that's not good. Oh no. Oh. Well, that's game over, man. Okay, this terrain sucks. Oh wait, I gotta oh, hang on. No, I can't just respawn. Can't just respawn. I have to reload back to the start. Because I'll keep on my progression. And I want to do it with... I want the progression to be part of the challenge. Yes, all these worlds are yours except Europa. Attempt no landing there. How about no? Where was I at this point? I'm sure this will be fine. Parts of Europa are this lumpy, but I don't remember much of it being this lumpy. I don't know how I found such a bad bit. This feels like Stationeers old school Europa, not Space Engineers Europa. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is when I was running from the sun. Let's turn back, because we know now that's not necessary. There's nickel around here. But I don't want nickel, I want iron. So this time I'm going to mark a location and sit on it. Silicon, magnesium, nickel. Alright, let's mark that. Let's keep looking. Yeah, like, look at this terrain. It's horrible. This is not the Europa I remember. I've clearly mostly landed in the flats then. Driving in the dark in those sorts of craggies is not a smart way to drive. Oh, I'm sure it's always been like this. I've never landed here. I've spent so little time on Europa and Space Engineers that I just have never been in these rock bits. It's like, I thought... I never remembered Titan having much in the way of mountains. But apparently it has some really big ones. Because most of the places I'd played on Titan were mesas next to ice lakes. Which is just, I guess, a bit of one of those reminders of how big Space Engineers planets effectively are. That we can spawn in places and not have any clue what else is there. It's part of me that wants to do a proper restart rather than this. Well, I have just found iron and cobalt. So we'll just stay with it. What else was here? Nickel. Okay, so let's start grinding a couple of things off. Oh, that's not how much I wanted to grind off of that. I wanted to grind off a bit, not that much. No. Alright, fine. I won't grind my survival kit down. Because apparently that's a bad idea. Then we need to build a wind turbine. And then a rotor. Then we can build our refinery. Spicy. Ungamax, even if I did have an idea of when SE2 would get survival, well, if I did know something that you guys didn't know, I wouldn't be able to tell you that thing that I know that you don't know about any of those release date type things. That's all going to be up to what information is available from Keen. Thanks, Bad Dog. Thank you for 72 months. Dang, that's a lot of time. Thank you for 6 years. Europa is... it's not bad. It's actually genuinely not bad. My point of saying that is, sometimes I do know things, but right now I don't know anything. But even when I do know something, I'm not allowed to share it, so there's no point. So I don't really talk about stuff that's coming all that much.
Health low.
Am I going to die from this radiation? Seeming very close. This is going to be iffy. It's going to be very iffy.
Your health is critical.
Oh boy. I can't counter it with my survival kit because the radiation goes up faster than than the survival kit heals me. Oh, this is close. Oh, that was close. 6 health. Ooh. It's a spicy meatball. Right. Now I just gotta wait a little bit, I guess, because I don't really want to move from here, and it would be nice if the sun went down, so that I could, by the time the sun comes around the next time, have my algae farms ready to go. Seems like a good point for a bio break. The radiation on Europa isn't so bad until you add the highest rate of solar radiation, which is what I did. I really hope that was an auto carrot triax, because I don't think you're meant to iron your dogs. I have had a dog who looked like someone had been crimping her fur, because it looked crimped on her ears, but I've never seen ironed. Okay, we should be good. Let's get some health back this time before I get too excited on building. Ah. And radiation is going up very fast. Because I'm standing in the sun. Okay, health is at full. Let's get back in. It's an old joke about someone having to leave in the middle of the raid. Ah. Need stronger sunblock. Yeah. Yeah, true. I'm probably using... oh, that'll be a reference no one will get. Never mind. There's a whole bunch of dodgy Australian sunscreens that have been proven to not actually work in the last few months. Yes, I do get irradiated when I'm underground. Not by the sun, just by Europa. So if I stand on this side, I'm in the shade. So my radiation goes up a fair bit slower. Which should give me some time to grab a few bits and pieces, I guess. Nope, not much. Yeah. It's not like Australia isn't constantly with... Morning, Charlie. It's been good to see you back, girl. Yes, I missed you over the weekend. I think she missed me too. She was waggling her tail so much when I got home that her butt was dancing side to side too. Ah, shadow, it comes to save me. I do have a plan when I get out of the rover. It's just executing that plan sometimes takes me longer than I anticipate. They've added radiation in the base game. I think the Aussie sunscreens don't match the advertisements is more the Aussies actually checked rather than... Yeah, there's a consumer checking, like, organization that got them independently assessed and found them to not be what they said. Oh, I shouldn't really do this from outside. But whatever. So, we'll keep grinding off bits. Get what steel plate we can while that's building. Yeah, see, now radiation's pretty slow to go up, so I can actually get a bit done. I get that one? No, here it is. Ah. Get back here. Don't run away from me, steel plate. Also, this wheel has steel plate. Oh, man. No, Cyberkate, I kind of want to try to avoid piracy or going that route. I wanted to see if it was possible without going that route. Obviously, it should technically be possible if you do go the piracy route, because you can just get enough stuff to get by. But I wanted to see if it was possible without it, because then you take luck out of the equation. It's just, this is how you start on Europa. This will be guaranteed to work every single time. How do I know it's not the sun that's irradiating me? Because I'm in the shade. The shading actually works. Need lead underpants? Who doesn't? Okay, so wind turbine back on the hotbar. Pop that down. Hold up what I can. Grab what else I need. Okay, so we need 7 motors, 1 computer. Now the motors I can grab from here. That's 1, 2, irradiated. And then once that's made, grind it down, build rotor, add rotor head, build refinery. Don't crash immediately after you build refinery and actually refine some iron. Tracks, believe me, there's been a lot of temptation on my part as well as Wasted's to do something where you need to be in the shade. The trouble is, I guess you kind of need to make the shade very much not dark if you're going to do that. Because live streaming in the dark is not a smart way to live stream. As much as the codecs have improved, they still don't really like being in the dark. And you... Where'd it go? There it is. 3 more motors. What has 3 more motors? If I can avoid making them, that is definitely an improvement. It's 1. You don't have a motor, but you have a motor. And you have a motor. Yay! There we go. Done without using any of my materials. Possibly going to get rather amount of pain from this bit of irradiation. Yeah, I've catalyzed some of my suspensions. I have cannibalized most things. I should be able to repair them in a second, although I'll have to build a cargo container in order to repair them. Well, Zinzamac, a while ago, Wasted was working with Frosty, as in same person who made the crane that Shaq and I are using in Combined Arms, to make a mod where you have to stay in the light. But it never got made into a series. But yeah, that is a mod that is out there, that there are horrible storms on the dark side and you have to stay in the light, which means you're constantly on the move. And that's why I thought I'd come up with a different way to constantly be on the move for the Escape from Pertum series, where I was being chased by you guys, firing meteor strikes at me. Because I wanted to do that idea, but I didn't want to steal Wasted's idea. And the spiders are fun. Silly. But those chase bits where you guys were constantly spawning them on me and as I was just constantly running away from them, they were actually fun. I enjoyed that. Not just after the fact, but I actually enjoyed it during. It was just so silly. Like, if we had the Benny Hill theme, I think it might have actually felt as fun to, like, it might have seemed like, it might have conveyed better how much fun I was having. Oops, done that the wrong way around. Come on. Come on. Keep going, keep going, keep spinning. I'm gonna risk it. Oh, wait, no I'm not, because my health is actually not high. I completely understand why Keen changed the meteors, and I think it's a good change overall. As interesting as random resources are from meteor strikes, as interesting as having craters are from meteor strikes, they meant that you could never play with them. I know I could do it from the cockpit of the normal control panel, but it's so much slower. It's just so slow. Alright, let's just forget about it altogether then. Let's just make the thing. So I need 41 steel plate. I reckon I've probably got enough to make all this stuff. It does worry me that if I get that wrong, I'm stuck. So I will just try and get the other bits. So I need to find 2 motors, which I've got in these 2 up front. 1 and 2. And I need 3 more computers, which I can get 1 from the antenna. And I think I'll make the other 2. So I might just make all 3. So they are cheap. Alright, so I just need 37 more steel plate. Now there's more to be had down under here from these bits to save me some of that initial iron, but with only 28 to go, I think I'll just make them.
Health low.
And then we've got our refinery, and then I can go and mine some iron once I've got enough radiation headroom, because I need that. Yeah, I think on my next getting out of the cockpit, I'm getting myself some health back. Because I am edging that a little lower than I should, I think. So the next... With this done, yes, survival without the food is possible. But now it's about dealing with the food side of things. I still need to survive. I still need to get the food production up and get food by the time the sun comes around for morning. So I've got this night to do it. If I'm not quick enough, I'm still going to die. Okay, so my health is now back up to 70 because I've recharged in the cockpit. So let's go grab those steel plate. Weld this up. Cool. So that's done. Now, let's get my health back up to full, because then I'm going to go mining. Seeing this start just makes sure I'll never start here. Yeah, fair play. I can't argue the rationale there. It is, it's fun for a certain type of person. I didn't make sure you land at sunset. I think you just... most of my starts have been just a bit before sunset. I don't think that's anything but just lucky RNG. But yeah, it does... It's something that seems to have happened a lot for me, so I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to repair these bits. With some of those remaining materials. I'll hop in the cockpit while it's producing. Just to make sure that I'm still connected up to the survival kit, so I don't have to drop my ores off. I can just hop in the cockpit and unload manually inside the cockpit. If there's no cobalt within 5,000 kilometers, then that's not a fun way to play. Alright, let's see what I need for a small cargo container so I can unlock how to do this. Need 2 interior plate, 1 construction component, 1 computer. 2 interior plate, 1 construction component, 1 computer, 1 motor, 1 display. And that's it.
Meteor storm inbound.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to need to make any algae farms to stick on the rotor on the thing. I should be able to get this to work without that. Thanks, Thorvald. Or Torvald. It's probably Torvald. Thank you for the prime sub. Now let's grab the bits for the cargo container. So we'll make that quickly. Ah! Okay, that's unlocked some stuff. Means I can repair those bits. And now I've got to deposit what I can, and then need to go to the iron. 58, 59, 60 exposure. Come on, iron, dig quicker. Dig with my jetpack on. Come on, come on. It's the iron proper.
Inventory full.
Alright, that'll do. Now I can't put that into my refinery from here, so I have to hop out and do that. And now I have more iron. How much more iron, though? We started with 500. Thanks, Neon God. Thank you for the prime sub. Oh dear. Now it makes sense. I realized why you all started talking about bank security. It's because someone wrote COBOL instead of cobalt. Alright, so I should have enough iron to build the basic assembler now. So let's hop out. Queue that up. Grab the iron out of here. Put the iron into here. Wait for that to get produced. So it looks like I've got all the materials to make it, so I can just make the basic assembler. And now, with the basic assembler, we can then use the resources that I can collect to make move them onto a proper base and build the algae farms. Aren't spacesuits supposed to be radiation proof? No. Level man, even, like, modern spacesuits will protect you from as much as they can, but they're not going to be completely able to stop it. But the advanced spacesuits we have in 2077 are apparently still not perfect. I'll be right back. While this is producing, I can probably just sit here and get my radiation down. But I'll be right back. Gonna do a quick stretch. This one. Alrighty. 4 radiation left. Excellent. So it still hasn't made everything, but we're getting most of the way there. Thanks, Carl Bembridge. Thank you for 3 months. In advance. Thank you. Up to 36 computers. Now, while we're waiting for the rest of that, I'm going to go grab some more iron. I should probably also grab some nickel soon too. And some silicon, actually. Silicon might be more important.
Inventory full.
Which is going to be tricky. There's no silicon immediately nearby. Just 2 computers left. There we go. Basic assembler made. Sweet. So I think next up is turn this into a base so I'm not having it attached to my rover, because then I can drive the rover over to the silicon that I found and come back here with the silicon to turn this into a proper base. Might have missed, but would you suggest building on top of your rover or possibly trying to make a trailer? Honestly, neither solution is going to be great, but a trailer is going to allow you to build this lower. But I'm not planning on moving. So, it's fine.
Let's grab everything out of the assembler.
I mean, the survival kit. That's what I meant to say. Then we're going to make a base. I'm going to make it here right on top of the iron. Right next to it anyway. Doop, 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 doop. Ah. Okay, I can make a wind turbine. 2077 is what Keen have put out various little bits of lore to suggest that's the time we are at for space engineers. No, I didn't even flip it with the refinery on top. I took all of the heavy stuff off the top and I still flipped the rover. It's worse than flipping it with the refinery on top. I flipped it once I took it off. I don't know for sure if there's wind on Europa. I think there is because there is some atmosphere, but I don't know. We're going to find out in a sec. Yep, there's wind. 164 kilowatts. So not a lot, but some. You're gonna have to do a lot more, build a lot more wind turbines to make it work. Oh no. No, Europa has an atmosphere. There's atmospheric scattering of the light when the sun's around. You can see that it has an atmosphere. Yes, it is still better than Survival Impossible wind. That is accurate. I'm going to quickly place these other wind turbines so I can get the components queued up and see what materials are actually required to finish them. There we go. Production. Basic assembler. So we need 53 nickel. So I'm going to be short on nickel. Because I think... Yeah. Do not have much nickel left. That's okay, because we have nickel right here. So that's the next thing I need to go mine. Actually, it's a fair point. Would I be better making these wind turbines, or would I be better making an O2H2 generator and an engine? I may well be better off making an engine here. Only reason I go for wind turbines is because it's consistent, safe power. There's certainly an argument for speed. It might be quicker the other way. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I forgot to fill up my water bottle. One sec. But yeah. If I was speed running, I would test. I hope you can hear me yelling from my seat. But yeah, if I was speed running, I think I'd test the difference between the two. This is just a, can I get a safe start? Sort of play that I'm doing here. Let's weld these up quickly. Getting some of that cobalt and getting myself better tools would also be useful. Because of the whole... Then I can... stay out for getting a little bit more done each trip out. Nickel. Kapak is not back home yet. He went to visit some family on the way home, so he'll be back tomorrow. But I don't know if he's... Oh, he'll be back home at some point today, so I think he's going to do his... mini painting stream tomorrow? I don't know. But no, he's not back.
Inventory full.
Just wait till that goes down. I'm not getting hurt anymore. So bringing you back anything from PAX. Got some more interviews I'm posting as shorts. When I wrap up today's stream, I'll get on to doing that. That's one of the things. Europa has background radiation. So right now I'm dealing with background radiation in the dark. There's solar radiation is on top of that. But it looks like in a moment I'll have enough power on this to transfer those things off the rover, and we can then repair the rest of the rover and drive over to the silicon. So I'm going to need to do that to get my food farms. Radioactive ice is surely safe for use in engines. Yeah, and in crop watering systems. I'm sure it'll be fine. Is that a thing you can turn off? You can turn off all of your different radiations. There are two different types. There's the solar, which is by default off, and then there's the regular radiation, which is by default on, which you can turn off. Yes, we can now make tobacco. Yes, Jax. Oh dear. It's been a long time since I thought about tobacco. Why would you ever turn that on? It's not new lightning because you can control it, but I can understand why for some people it gives you the same sense as lightning, similarly to the debris during a nasty storm, that sort of thing. I can absolutely see why those two are connected, and I agree they are connected. I also feel like Keen have at least notified the player what's going on, so therefore nowhere near as bad, and kind of corrects the worst, most egregious part of lightning. Which was, what? I'm dead? But I was, what? I don't understand. Why did something just explode on my base? I don't understand. And some people like having some restrictions in place that force them to play differently to what they normally would. Myself, I am one of those people. Okay, get this built. Get the refinery off. And we are rolling. GPS home. Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea. I'll do that when I next get in the cockpit. Man, do I need a better welder. That is so slow. I really should know the answer to this question, but I'm not. But I'm now getting myself confused between Vanilla Survival Experience mod and the now vanilla radiation things. Other than airtight spaces and the non-renewable sources of rad pills and stuff like that, do we have other means to control radiation in vanilla? Because in the mod, you could also use gravity generators. And that was nice. But I don't think that's a vanilla thing. I don't think they carried that over. And I really quite liked the idea of grav gens being a way to control radiation. It was a kind of nice, let's give a reason to build proper gravity onto our ships and bases and stuff. And on a moon like Europa, you could control background radiation by building a grav gen, because you're in only 0.25 G, so the grav gens would have half the effectiveness, but would still be effective. I wonder how moddable that is. Well, I think one of the things you probably want early on then for me is a med bay. Because if I have a med bay, I can at least build up my health quicker than I deplete it. Okay, we should be good to weld the rest of that up. So I can get working again. Yeah, I need to make a little airtight space on my base sooner rather than later. But what I really need is some silicon. Ah! And not to press the Windows key. Okay. Let's repair our suspensions, then we will drive off. Yeah, I think having some other means of... Oh, what? What do I need to... What? Get back in. Control G. No, Control G. G. Wheel. Progression. What did I need to make? Do I need to just... I think... Yeah, landing gear. There we go. Alright, we'll make a mag plate. Easy enough. There is a mod out there to make the shower block usable to clean off rads. I don't know if it makes the vanilla one. I think it adds a new shower. I kind of hoped that it would do both. Add mod block so you don't need the DLC, but also use the DLC one. I can understand why you, as a modder, wouldn't necessarily want to put that level of work in, but still. Would have been cool. There you go. Have a home that stands out. Home marker, that is. Come on, make it quicker. There we go. Now I should be able to repair my wheels. Ah, no, wrong key. Doesn't the cryopod count as this airtight space? Yeah, it would. Keyboards with an off toggle for the Windows key or MVP. You know what? Sometimes I actually use it intentionally as a way to alt-tab forcing the thing I'm currently doing to stay focused. But yes, sometimes it is off. It's more annoying than it is helpful. Oh. I just noticed. I completely missed Shaq using his Prime sub on my channel. I will have to if he's not still around, I'll have to remind him of that. And say thanks. Of course, that's the one I miss. There we go. Now I can also do this to do some quick unlocks. There we go. Unlocks. Thanks, Mike. Thank you for the Prime sub. You can't do anything inside a cryopod. It's true. But you can do things inside a cockpit. I mean, you can do a lot of the same... On a base, at least. You can do a lot of the same stuff inside a cockpit as you can inside a cryopod. but you can't use third person. Like, is it third person? I feel like I haven't been able to use third person. There are on a moving vehicle though, a cockpit is far more useful because you can pilot the thing, like I'm about to do now. I might move my survival kit onto the base. That's probably a good idea because then I can replace it with a cargo container and I can actually hold a moderate amount of silicon because I'm kind of probably starting to run low on time, so maybe I won't do that. I'm just going to drive. Let's go to the silicon. I only need probably my suit load and a cockpit load anyway. Is there enough atmo to use the tiny flat atmos? I mean, honestly, yeah. On Europa and on Titan, I think you can. Ooh, that's bad terrain. That is bad terrain. Maybe the known silicon is not the way to go. Maybe going to an unknown silicon and trying to find one. Though it's hard to spot the ore markings at night. Where do I go over? Maybe up here. So beds and cryopods will pause your hunger, which is why Keen... You know what? I'm going to be really not... I'm going to call it as I said. They've been good about that, and they are making a vanilla bed. I did a public feedback post, and it got enough attention that they went, yeah, let's do it. And they've said on it that it is in progress. Who knows when we're going to get that bed, but we are going to get a bed for basic vanilla, which is cool, because those of us who have the DLC now get another variety of bed. And credit to Keen for listening and changing that, because I could see how they might have missed that the beds might have given us a not insignificant advantage to people with the DLC. Thanks, Thanos. Thank you for the 25 months. Yeah, I mean, I forgot that there were no vanilla bed options. When I realized that the bed paused hunger, I was like, is there a vanilla option for this? Is this something I need to teach in my tutorials? And then I went looking and I was like, oh no. No, there isn't. There is no vanilla option. Also, I did not repair my thing, so I don't have a silicon location, and oh great, it's 30 meters down. That's not good. Beds are cheaper cryopods. They have some downsides compared to cryopods in that you have to create an airtight environment around them, but they are cheaper than cryopods because you do not need a large refinery to build them. You need the large refinery to build a cryopod because you need the large refinery to be able to refine the silver that's required for the medical components to make the cryopod. Because you don't really want to take down your survival kit to make a cryopod. It's not really ideal. It's doable, but it's not ideal. And yeah, when you think about it as you need to build a large refinery just to make a cryopod, then the comparison to a bed shows how effective a bed can be if you're in a situation where you need to do that. I'm going to try my best here to avoid just lying in a bed waiting on food to come around. Because that's not fun content. I didn't offload my nickel because I'm an idiot. Hopefully I still get enough silicon out of here anyway. 12-hour stream waiting for Algae, yeah.
Inventory full.
That's the closest you'll get to a sleeping stream from me.
Inventory full.
My character is sleeping. Let's put that in, grab that out, throw that out, put those in, and then I'll grab another load, and then we'll drive home. Shouldn't need my radiation to get get right down to 0 to go back down there, because I'll be able to fly down. Yeah. If you're playing on a server and you have the ability to build a bed, then you have the ability to pause your hunger and wait for your single algae farm to produce enough algae while you're offline. Which, depending on how you like to play, can be a serious advantage. Not enough that I was seriously saying that it was a pay to win, but that was the joke that I made. That upset some people. Which is not the intent, but, you know, whatever. Slightly funny, nonetheless.
Inventory
Alright, that'll do. Let's go take this back home, because I think spending too long here perfecting this is a waste of time.
Low health.
Using beds to pause hunger while you waited for storms to pass. Oh, yeah. It is handy having a way to pause hunger. Like, especially if you are in an environment where you have animals or little people, growing humans who might distract you and force you to walk away for an unknown period of time. And if you are playing on a save that's not always single player, then you won't be in offline mode, so you won't get the pause, because in offline mode you get pause, but otherwise you don't, so you might be best to jump in a bed as you go AFK for a sec. Yeah, sleep for dinner, exactly. Lauren, I can see where you're coming from saying that beds should slow hunger, and I've seen a number of people suggesting that. And I don't immediately disagree with the idea, but I also feel like there's not enough benefit to the gameplay to do that, to have that gradation in pause or slow. Like, I don't think it'd change enough for it to feel meaningful. To me, anyway. I feel like it's just kind of then just becomes a thing that is. Alright. That needs to refine. And I need to then start building my algae farms. And I should probably do the more advanced thing and make it tracking. Let's watch this. Where is it? There they are. Oh. Missed most of it. Much disappointment. So how much iron do we have left? We've got 260, so I'm going to need to go mine some more iron. Let's do that then. This is going pretty well, I think. One death and reload. Not too shabby.
Inventory full.
It was only to force me to do it properly, rather than a reload, because I was like, well, let's start that over. Let's put the iron up first. Okay, so I do not remember exactly where the sun was going over, and it doesn't really matter. I'm going to make a tracking array anyway. Especially if I make it relatively small. Always makes me nervous when you say things are going well. Well, I think they are going well. I'm not saying that just to stir the pot. I think I'm actually doing pretty well. No, Beer Seeker, I did not find a stony patch. I did not find some ruins. I have built this entirely from what you spawn with on the rover. It is possible. You don't need to go unknown signals. You don't need to go hunting for things. You can just do it with what you've got. Which really makes me quite happy. I'm going to put... Yeah, we'll put a concrete toner as the base. Then we'll go... Advanced rotor. Hinge. Radiation shielding. DC Messiah, I think anyone can get to the level that I am at in Space Engineers. I don't feel like I'm special. I think I just have played a lot and have played with a very specific mindset. Most of the time I played Space Engineers, I've thought, like, especially vanilla, I'm thinking about how do I teach someone to do this, which changes the way you think about things, or at least it always has for me, because it makes me think about things in a much more abstracted way that allows me to go, all right, how do I convert what I'm discovering into something that's a teachable lesson? All right, let's get these built. And for me, if I can teach something, then I can usually do it a lot better than I could if I wasn't planning on teaching it. The secret to succeeding is failing enough first. I don't know that I agree with that. I think the secret to succeeding is choosing to fail at the right time. And choosing how you fail. Because there are definitely different ways to fail. Like there's the, ha, for science, let's do it, sort of failure. And then there's the, well, that all just went horribly wrong and I have no idea how. Failing. Teaching things like getting Cobalt to upgrade tools to mine silicon faster but not actually doing it yourself. Yeah, things like that, Amphion. Oh dear. Thanks, TFE. Thank you for 6 months in advance, man. And for doing all the stuff you do for the mods and things. Always appreciated, buddy. Always. 25, 4, 3, yep. Fine, shame me into doing the Cobalt. Shame me into it. Well played. Yeah, so the waiting for radiation on Europa is... it's part of the pain, but it's also part of the difficulty. The reason it's part of the difficulty is it is slowing me down. I am not getting everything built as quickly as I could. Like, I'm having to wait. I can't, like, I would have, under normal circumstances, I would have, without the radiation, I would have already built that tracking algae array. It would have already been done. But I'm still here barely having constructed half of it. Make a list of your goals, then come up with a logical order to do them. Well, in my case, it's make a list of your goals, come up with a logical order to do them, get distracted by something else that seems like it's more important than the logical order that you just came up with, so you come up with a different order, and then you realize that the order might have been better the way you did it, but it wasn't quite really, but it was sort of maybe, and then you just kind of go, then you're like, oh. I need to be in the right headspace to do this in the fully logical space. The fully, I want to do this 100% logical is when, and I want to have it pre-planned, that's when I do the speedrun style. But I'm not doing that today. Today I'm just discovering what might work for the speedrun style. Yeah. Figure out your obstacles before you start, then start and get defeated by obstacles you didn't predict. That is pretty much my experience in most games in a nutshell. At least ones that I've played a little bit. The predictable obstacles are fine. I got enough cobalt. That'll do.
Health low.
Should have enough health to get this exposure level down before I die. Tiffy, I don't know that abiotic factor and hardcore Iron Man mode is how I would want to play abiotic factor. If you recall, I think I was the one that set the difficulty lower as we progressed in it. Because it was just too much. Too much. Is it time for Keen to introduce suit upgrades like we have for tools? I wouldn't be averse to the concept at all. I don't see any significant downsides to it. I think probably the way to look at it. I struggle, I definitely struggle to see downsides to suit upgrades. But what I don't think it's particularly likely to see it in Space Engineers, but I hope it's something they're considering for SE2. But also to have modular suits. If they plan modular suits from the outset in Space Engineers 2, then we can have cowboy hats, Elmo heads, and all sorts of other crazy mods for different parts of our suit that we can replace and do really weird, funny things with our suits. And I think that would be great. Because I just think that would be fun. Yeah, Stark, I would also agree with you on that. The concept of, do I want just everything is always better? Or do I want... I have to make I have to make meaningful decisions about which suit type to have. And I personally would prefer which suit type. Yes, maybe make them all better than the baseline suit, so you always do want to get an upgrade, but then have the upgrades be a meaningful decision between them. Let's put a little bit of that cobalt up first, so I can get the tools done. I now need to get conveyors. put those into production. Hop back in the cockpit while some of that gets built. I would love to be able to remove my suit jetpack and replace it with more backpack storage. Yeah, Demos, exactly. I think Keen could do well to look at some of what Stationeers have done with their different suit approaches. And it's a decent model to look at for what you could do in terms of different pathways and seeing which ones have worked in Stationeers and which ones haven't. Like, you always get the hard suit. But maybe not always the hard suit backpack. And so the backpacks would be a good option for seeing different ways that affect a similar-ish game and give us an interesting outcome. Probably don't need to go 5. So I might just go 4, since the wind turbine's a bit close. And this needs steel plate. You're talking to a friend about an idea of Prototech suit parts that you have to collect from unidentified signals. Yeah. That would be an interesting way to make the character valuable, having collectible suit parts that get destroyed on death. I'm not sure that it's a good idea, but it is an interesting idea. Largely because it's really easy to have your character die in Space Engineers without you having done anything wrong. It can be very much not your fault, and you're still dead. That's a problem. Like, just how easy it is to die from a jetpack. And I think it would also make... I mean, that's the sort of thing I would like to see as a mod. Because then it's an opt-in rather than an opt-out. Whereas I think most things that Keen should probably do with Space Engineers should be opt-out rather than opt-in. Like, if it's their game, so the stuff that they put in should be opt-out. If they're going to make it optional. I think. But I can see that being an interesting way to do modded suit upgrades. Okay, so now... Oh, can I? Oh, can it fix my ball planner in here? Yeah, nice. I've never used a cockpit just to do build planner. But the things you learn playing the game a different way. And the sauna is getting close. My food's down to 39, which isn't too bad.
Low health.
Oh, but my... I keep pushing the limits with what I can have with my my health. Yes, I have sun radiation set to extreme. Yes, I do, Beer Seeker. Yes. So I really need to get these finished before the sun comes up so that I can at least get some of that food ready to go. And then start building an airtight space around in my base. But also, if I'm starting to produce food, and I've got the ability to make oxygen, and I've got an airtight space on the base, I consider this challenge complete. Potentially. Because I have done the things. I need more iron. Ah, go away, drill. Don't be up in my face. Nope, that's nickel. Okay, that's iron. Oh, that's bad. Okay, I can't really stay here. Don't have enough health for that.
Your health is low.
Yep. Okay, that might have been cutting too fine. Now, if the real question, was it fun? Yes. Yes, this has been fun. This has been fun to figure out. One of the cool things about figuring this out on Europa is, if it works on Europa, it works everywhere. What I have done here means you can start anywhere this way. Because I have used nothing but finding the resources in ore deposits. I have not used any stone refining whatsoever. So you can do it anywhere. That's kind of cool. It's cool to know that's possible. Sun is very close. I need to get more building done. But I also need to get this iron in. Should be enough to put the iron in. I did just... No! Put the iron in! Ah. Let's get a little bit more exposure down. Drive closer. I don't think it makes enough of a difference when you're using a jetpack. The higher the exposure to the level, the longer you stay in the it's going to kill you levels, as it slowly depletes when you get into a safe space, so the more likely you are to die. What I really need to have here, and I think is kind of part of the challenge, is I need to have a survival kit inside a pressurized space. Because if I have a survival kit inside a pressurized space, all I have to do is get inside that, and I will not die. Whereas I can still die in this cockpit. Because in the cockpit, I still lose health while I'm losing radiation. Whereas if I have a survival kit in a pressurized space, I can heal myself while dealing with the last of that radiation. And up front. Should hopefully get the rest of that made. Let's hop in the cockpit while we wait. Yep, I could build a drone miner as well. Like, once you've got an interior space, you can then start building bigger interior spaces, then you can start building inside. There's a ton of stuff I need to build before I get to that point. Oh, first algae farm should be up in a second. Considering whether building those tools is the right thing to do right now, I think it might be. Move them to the front of the queue. Up in the cockpit. Yeah, but Seeker, I completely agree with you. Once you get a pressurized space set up and most of what you're doing, the radiation does to you is cause you to wait, it's not a very interesting mechanic. Creates an interesting start, but if your plan is anything but just escape, yeah, nah. I've been there, I've done that to myself before, and I'm not super keen on playing too much that's just make me wait. If there was a way to make the anti-rad stuff, that might play a bit different. Maybe. But that's kind of... It's also one of these things, and I like that we've got some new vanilla challenges. As someone who's played a lot of Space Engineers, it's kind of nice and refreshing to have challenges where you're like, alright, let's put my knowledge to the test. Can I do this? Is this possible? What do I need to do to make this work? How much of my knowledge do I have to dredge through to see if I can actually do this thing? Turn this towards the sun just in case. Why are the farms on a hinge? So they can track the sun. So the sun should go somewhat overhead. Can you place blocks through remote-controlled vehicles? Yes. Yes, you can. But you can also place it from a cockpit that's pressurized. I just would have to put thrusters on this, and I'm not really in a position to do that. The fact that I've eaten all of my food means now I need those algae farms to get them some sun. Let's have a look at what I need for a custom turret controller. I need nothing too fancy. Okay. Let's just weld the rest of that one up. What I've got. Thanks, Fluorescent Ninja. Thank you for 34 months. Is it boneless algae? I'd hope so. Although maybe it needs to have bones, so it's calcium enriched. More or less treating it like a no-soak run. Exactly. Or the economy only run, or those sorts of things. It's just challenge mode. How can I play this a bit differently? How can I make this feel a bit different? Alright, let's get this made. Oh man, that hill is not in a great spot for my survivability here. Really not. It's good for the fact that I don't have to be in the sun all day, so the radiation's not so bad, but it's bad for the fact that I'm now gonna have to wait longer. Hello, why no production? Come on, make the things, please. I want to get this built before the sun comes up. Because otherwise I'm just going to die out here in the sunshine. I both want the sun and I hate the sun. It's both things all at once. Come on. I also need to get a camera. Camera. I don't have them. What do I need to build to unlock a camera? A battery. Is there another way? Is there another way? No. Well, that's annoying. I don't really want to have to build a whole battery just to make a camera so I can use the custom turret controller. But I'm gonna have to. Man, freaking tastic. Alright, production. Make 2 of those. Speed, get this built quickly. There we go. battery thing has unlocked my ability to make cameras. Oh, this isn't good. Yes, here comes the sun. I'm gonna get it radiated so quickly now. I need to let it get down a fair bit lower before I get out of the truck. Thanks, Alice. Thank you for 6 months. Yeah, at least setting it up is fairly quick. What I should do, as soon as I get out, is quickly get some steel plate and build myself a roof so that I can do the setup at least under a solar protected roof. Let's go. That's done. Let's get some steel plate. And in production. Let my radiation go down again. Thanks, Timmy Cat. Thank you for 8 months. I need a parasol. Yes, I do. Just a tiny little one from a cocktail, that sort of thing. No, the RADS is a vanilla setting. It's not the default vanilla setting, the one that I'm using here. I'm using the worst radiation possible. But it is vanilla. Okay, I should be protected under there. Yeah, connected to control from the cockpit would be useful, or even an antenna. I don't know which would be quicker to make. Okay. Azimuth rotor, advanced rotor, elevation hinge, camera, top mounted camera. Always aim at sun. There we go, it's working. Now don't die.
Health low.
Eep. There we go. So my rad settings is radiation on, but also solar radiation at extreme. Yes, don't die unless it will be funny for those people watching. Or just barely survive. I love the just barely survive. That's my preferred. It's like, I shouldn't have survived, but I got away with it. Medium radiation is more than enough. Don't take what I've set up here as a suggested way to play Space Engineers. This is not my suggested way to play Space Engineers. This is just, how hard can I make it and can I still make it work? That was the question I was setting out to answer here. Don't do what Donnie Don't does. Today I be Donnie Don't. This is very much, let's just see. What can I do? Yes, the survival kit can make algae crisps, but I should be able to make a food processor. And that's my plan as well. So, Zuriel, I can hide underground to avoid the solar radiation, but there's background radiation on Europa. So I get irradiated no matter whether it's day or night. Let's try and get a few things built. Get that processing. So I can get that cargo container built. And then I'll try and build a bit of a roof, and then I want to get an O2H2 generator. I'm not going to go for the unknown signals. I should have turned them off. Really? My goal here was to do this without any chance-based mechanics. Because all locations are fixed. So that's not really chance in my books. It sort of is, because I had to be lucky to start near the one and happen to drive in the direction of it. But if you know the map, you can know exactly where they all are. So they're fixed. And everything else is built from the rover, so there's no... Technically, like, to my definition, there's no chance-based mechanics here. So let's see how this start was hard and said hold my beer. I wouldn't say I heard this start was hard. I have said this start is hard. And I don't think I'm wrong. I think it just required some change in the way you think about stuff and how you might approach it. And I was curious what that change was that was required. And so I figured, rather than making someone else do it and deal with the pain, I should do it myself. Because it is good to know these things for sure. You connect to the base, you can then use your rest time to queue up the items you need. Yeah. My plan at the moment, I'm building that conveyor line, and then I'm going to build a couple of air vents, and then I'm going to make an airtight space with access to the refinery and this assembler, and also put my survival kit in there. That's what my current goal is. The reason I'm making these full conveyor junctions is just so that air tightness is easier to figure out. Because obviously, full cubes, much easier to handle. Because I want, obviously, shade first. So build the roof first so that I'm shaded so I can stay out a little bit longer, and then I'll make it airtight. Which means I need to make O2H2 generator and vents and things. It's a slow process. Do I need the food processor? No. The survival kit can process the algae. So if I go to production, we can see that the survival kit, if you click on food, can turn algae into kelp crisps. But I will make a food processor anyway. I reckon we're probably looking pretty good. Oh, what am I out of? Am I out of iron again? Yes. Okay, I've got to mine some more iron. Alrighty. We can do that. Oh yeah, progression's on. If you're doing a challenge mode, you gotta have progression on. How could you not? There's very little ammo and wind. Could you, in theory, have an external vent or two to pull air from outside? I don't know if... I don't think Europa has oxygen in its very minimal atmosphere. I think the only planet that has that is Alien. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. See you, beef. Mars as well? Yeah, maybe Mars as well. But yeah, definitely Alien's one of them, but... And something recently I discovered, it doesn't matter what that percentage is set to. That value actually doesn't change the rate at which you get the oxygen from the atmosphere. You get it at the same rate regardless. Which was much to my disappointment, because I was trying to set it to be so it would cost a significant amount of power to run a vent on depressurized to grab air from the atmosphere. But it doesn't. Like, I set it to I think I set it to 10,000 times lower, and there was no perceptible difference. Yeah, I think it is just alien. Shaggy, I think you're right. I think it's just alien. I feel like Grozob might have been talking about this recently, and he would have checked it from game files when he talked about it. Oxygen level, as shown on your HUD, is not the true oxygen level. There is a separate value that the HUD will read none, even if the planet has some. That you can pressurize from a vent. Vent. What? Oh, what do I need to unlock to get a vent? Oh, I'll probably have to make an O2H2 gen, don't I? That's going to be heat vents. I don't want that. I want... Where are we at? Yes, it does. Okay, so let's make the O2H2 generator then. Like that. It's possible that the escape from Mars might have been modified to have it. Maybe that's why some people are misremembering. Maybe that's the source. I'm just trying to think of any other scenarios on Mars where that might have been done to make it behave differently. Oh, cool. You did check in the files, yeah. Maybe that's enough time for that to have produced. Nope. Not gonna build the DLC one because I think compact is probably helpful here. No. Kirinson, oxygen is a separate thing to atmosphere. Thrusters work in atmosphere. Vents need oxygen. They're two separate values. So testing thrusters is testing something separate. Potentially still useful, but separate. Okay, we got that. Vent. Oh. Dealing with this radiation is really a thing. Into production. Europa is Hoth, but they forgot to add the detailing. Not really. I feel like Triton is closer to Hoth. And how dare you, TFE, make me talk about Star Wars lore. Even in the most vague of sense. Alright. I'm going to wait here for a minute. I'm going to take another little bio break, and I'll be right back. And hopefully when I get back, we'll have an exposure level that is low enough that I can build some things.
Meteor storm inbound.
If there are meteors, can you get food from them? I wonder what the probabilities are of being able to get a meteor strike to hit a wolf or a spider. Seems incredibly low, but also maybe possible? Oh, I figured I missed a meteor shower while I was AFK. Based on the content, based on the content of chat when I got back. That seemed most likely. Let's grab some steel plate to connect this first before I go and do what I'm about to do. So we'll need a floor. Gonna need a roof. But let's not build the expensive roof because people will give me grief about the fact that I'm wasting effort building more steel plate than I need. Let's build a half slab roof. And I'm going to do full block walls because I don't want to have to figure out my air tightness. It's ironic Splitsy doesn't like talking about Star Wars, considering how many series he's had on Totally Not Tatooine. TFE, you know full well why I don't like talking about Star Wars, and it's usually because Capac's around. And he doesn't like talking about it, or I don't like hearing him whinge about it again. I actually really enjoyed Star Wars until Disney took over. I liked the games, I liked the original movies. Didn't even, like, as bad as the prequels were, they were just like, they were more meh than horrible for me. Others will disagree, I'm sure, but that's kind of how I felt about it. And then by the time Disney came around, it was just like, ugh. I think I was already,
Your health.
yeah, I tried to watch episode 7, got halfway through, turned it off, and went and played some games. Yeah, KOTOR. Perfect example of amazing things can be done with that environment. Very, very, very cool. Very fun game. But yeah, I watched the prequels at the cinema. I didn't hate them. I was like, eh. The worst thing I would have said back then was like, I can see why they made 4, 5, and 6 first. They were definitely the better films. They were the better story. But maybe they could have done better with the prequels if they had a different framing device, which is effectively what KOTOR is, which is you see the stories from a different perspective, so you get to tell a new story, even though you are doing the complete telling of an old story. Star Wars Holiday Special is the best bit of Star Wars. Please remind me to say that next time I'm on a stream with Capac and he's talking about Star Wars, so I can say that. Because it will break his train of thought about whatever he's whinging about. And that's just delightful.
Full. Inventory full.
And TFE, if you happen to be there for that conversation, feel free to say it yourself first, because I think if you say it, it might throw him off even more. Because he's used to having more meaningful discussions about that with you than me. Alright, I think the way I've done these conveyor lines, I'm probably going to need to build a proper assembler if I want to link things up properly. So quick. So quick to high rads. So quick. I'm in way too much sun right now. Hey, Frostraven. Yeah, what's up with my unknown signal moving? Or am I moving? Maybe I was moving. I'm not going to get it, though. Yeah, I get both radiation from the sun and from Europa, so working in the shade only helps so much. And I haven't yet got shade over the cargo access for the refinery. I'm also getting down to low food. So let's see. Get a bit more steel plate made. Put that up first. Ah! Ow! A covered space for the rover won't really change much. I think it's more being covered where I'm actually building is going to help the most. I should be able to make it airtight soon, I think. Just needed to put that iron up front, which I hadn't done. Oh, only got a little bit hurt that time. Hopefully that's enough. Yeah, that's enough steel plate for me to be able to actually place down the blocks that are going to provide shade, because I'm pretty sure from popping into Wasted Stream once that you don't need to build up the frames in order to get the sun radiation protection. It works even if they are unbuilt. So I now have a roof. So no more speedy solar rads. Still have the Europa rads, but less of a problem. Right. Let's hope that's enough of that on board. I can go in here, grab algae. $32. Nice. Production. Let's make some crisps. Yeah, you just need something in the way. Yeah. Which makes me think they're using... The fact that unbuilt blocks block, they're probably using the same type... I imagine there's multiple different types of raycasts, given what we see in SE, but I imagine we're using the same thing that the wind turbines use. Be my guess. Frostraven, I looked at what the skyblock thing is, and it didn't inspire me with this is going to be an interesting way to play. I'm sure some will enjoy it, and they're not wrong for enjoying it, but the moment you get the magically create stone from sun block, that's the problem solved. There doesn't seem to be anything further beyond that to make that a more unique way to play. It's just scavenge in space, but you have to have these create materials from the sun block. Can I interest you in some very attractive land in a very active area near the town of Pripyat? Plenty of open space and very... Oh, dear. I should have read that one through before I read it out loud. Reports of anomalies are greatly exaggerated. Yes. Would a solar panel frame block the sun? Yes. I think so. Probably? I'd imagine so. Look at my health. It's way up there. It's full. Oh, it's not full. Because I've gotten 2 upgrades. Alright, we should be able to get a few bits built now. I will leave that. Yeah, I may for something use something that replaces the wolf and makes it into a pig or a deer mod. I don't have any problems. I was one of the people who I literally suggested on Reddit that we should have boars, not wolves. Not sure if that was the inspiration for that mod existing, but it was something I posted before the mod existed. So I'm hoping it was. But that'd be cool. It's always awesome when you see people run with your idea, when you are not yourself capable of implementing such a thing. Okay, out in the sun. Away from the sun. Into the cockpit. Yeah, Mothis, that's actually not a bad way to view it as a little bit of headcanon. Like, the unwelded blocks become some sort of Faraday cage, and that's how they protect you from the sun. It's not about protecting you from any sort of visible spectrum, it's about protecting you from some invisible amount of radiation. Okay, so that should allow me to grind out those 2 blocks. And just need a way to make this airtight, but still have access to cargo as well. We're getting closer. Yeah, closer. Let's get under there. Get the roof welded up. Nope. Nope. That didn't work. Yeah, the custom turret controller is... and the refinery and stuff. I'm feeling like what I might do is just cover over the outside of those blocks and just pipe them up. Not that I strictly need them piped up. I can leave them as is. Yeah, high solar is really punishing. But in theory, at this point, it is mostly down to patience. As I've managed to get myself to the point of having plenty of food. Like a tracking array of 4 algae farms should produce enough food for me to survive. As my food is currently at 51, I've got another 5 kelp crisps here, each giving 12%, so that's another 60. So I've got 161 worth of food, to look at it that way, which means about 2 and a bit hours, which means I will make it to the next daytime period. Did I do that right? I think I did that wrong. 111, which means I'm just shy of the next daylight period, but I should, as in a full day-night cycle, but I should have plenty in here to make the next bit. Yeah, I've got enough to make another 2, which is another 24, which, yeah. Because it's about 50 seconds per tick of food. So with 50 seconds per tick of food, you can kind of roughly work out how much time you've got left based on your food meter and the food that you have to hand at the time. I ignored the buffs in that calculation because hard. That's much harder to work out in my head. I really don't have much iron, do I? Nope, I am already out. Yep, I'm gonna have to do more mining. Which is probably not a bad thing for me to do during the day. And I'm also going to go door. Pop another door on the outside. Up in the cockpit. I'm going to go mine some more iron. Oh yeah, half algae farms are airtight, so yes, you can use them as your ceiling. A bit awkward as a ceiling because you've got the pipes on the back of them. Not that you strictly need to have the pipes facing backwards. You can make them face forwards. Like, you can make them face outwards and it'll still produce food. But yeah, they're... For the piping on your ceiling could get annoying for some people with their setups, depending on how they've got it set up. Ow.
Inventory full.
Ditch the ice. Just keep drilling.
Inventory full.
Oh, no, stuck on rocks, bad. Oh, this could go badly. This could be very bad. This could be very bad. 85. 85 is high. I'm glad I had a decent amount of health before I did that. I should eat some food. Prop my health up a little bit more. We're okay. I didn't die. And yeah, if your ceiling's tall enough, having the exposed pipes under it can look cool. I like exposed pipes on my builds. Building additional purely aesthetic conveyor lines is something I have done many, many times. Yeah, Vox, I didn't remember what the... Unknown signal. I didn't remember... Random explosion. I didn't remember what levels I was at when I got in trouble last time. And I wasn't sure how high my rad level would get with being in the sun for the flight back home from the mine. Oh, cobalt's almost done. See if I can get another load of iron. We're doing alright. Almost got an airtight base. Do voxels block solar radiation? Yes. Yes, they do. I'm pretty chuffed with this. I should not have it as blue, though. There we go. Start with yellow for the moment. No. Oh, man, that did not have enough time to do that. I was not adequately prepared. Playing SE while watching your stream and thought that explosion was on my base as I've just set up my solar array. Yeah. Yeah, having some mechanism to reduce radiation other than just sitting here and waiting would be much better. Something I can actively seek to just force me to go do a thing quickly and then I'm back to good. Hey, Duke. Welcome, Raiders. What were you up to in Stationeers today? Duke being another very chill guy who plays a bunch of Stationeers. Probably a lot better at it than I am. Yeah, exactly. A good use for the shower. But then they'd need a vanilla shower block, which again, I don't mind to have a variant of the shower block that is vanilla, as well as one that is DLC. To me, that is not a bad thing. Get in the hole, get in the hole. Quickly. Man, I wish this iron deposit was thicker so I didn't pick up so much ice.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
Where is my exits? $82. We should be okay. Make decorative 1 vanilla. Yeah, TFE, honestly, yeah. At some point, I feel like there should be like a sunset on a DLC being a DLC and making it into the vanilla game. I can understand why developers wouldn't want to do that. But I can also understand why there might be benefits to a vanilla developer in doing that. Because they could just slightly increase the base game price at that point. And it would probably cover any thing from that. And it also avoids that issue. It avoids the train sim or Stellaris issue, where you look at the game and you look at the full price of it with all of its DLCs and you go, I don't want a new mortgage. One mortgage is enough. Yes, the paradox, exactly. Is there a way to reduce the world radiation without having an airtight space? Annoyingly not. I was talking earlier and I think it would be the best way to do it. You should be able to put down gravity generators as a way to further mitigate background radiation. Effectively, thinking of them as a giant magnetic shield to help you avoid radiation. Because, I mean, gravgens are already space magic, so why not make them more space magic-y? And it then encourages the use of a mechanic in the game that is arguably one of the very cool things about Space Engineers, is mucking around with gravity. Barrackstar, I don't agree. I don't think they should make shield generators at all as a base part of the game. I feel like that detracts from a core part of what makes Space Engineers special, which is smashing things together and seeing the impacts. Seeing the effects. Once you start modding the game and adding things that mean that your stuff gets smashed up more often, then I see the argument for having shield gens and why a lot of people would want them and why I've wanted them in some things and why Shaq and I are using them in our Combined Arms series. Because you don't want all your stuff getting smashed all the time. Kind of nice not to. Got out way too soon. Let's wait. Let that go a bit further. Some people will always be irked by something, and I can only speak for myself, but as someone who bought the DLC a long time ago, I wouldn't mind if it went vanilla now. Agreed, Stark, and I'm the same. And I can say that because I definitely did buy the original DLCs. Some of them I have been gifted by Keen, some of them I've been gifted by some community members, so I haven't paid for all of the DLC, so if you want to use that to influence your opinion on my opinion, whatever. But I would feel fine about something I bought 7 years ago or something like that now becoming part of the vanilla game, because I've gotten to use it for 7 years, which has offset the $8 dues that I spent on it. I think. If you only bought it last week, yeah, can see why you might be a bit miffed by that. If you're like, I just bought this and now it goes free, what the heck? But if they gave people a heads up and said, in 6 months, this is what we're going to do. Seven years, I don't have the heart to check. Yeah, give it around. I just picked a number vaguely in the ballpark. It's probably it's probably more like 5 years. Because I think 5 to 6 years, because I think they did the survival kit thing before they did the first DLC, didn't they? 2019, there we go. 6 years. I wasn't far off. I was not far off. See you, Duke. Closer than I had any right to be on that. Alright, so the refinery's done all of this thing. Get the steel plate up in the cockpit while that's getting made. But yeah, I think for any big change like that, communication is key. If they don't communicate that they're making the change with enough time for people to be like, well, now I can make this decision for myself, then anyone who gets upset about that was going to get upset no matter what you did, so they're not worth worrying about. Now for a depressing time. What proportion of your adult life have you been playing Space Engineers? Well, to me, that's not remotely depressing. Space Engineers has massively enhanced my adult life. So I don't mind thinking about how long I've been playing it for. But my situation is somewhat unique. There aren't many people who don't work for Keen who can say that Space Engineers gave them a new job. And I've definitely not gotten as much out of any game that I've played this many hours of. This many hours being, as of today, 7,042. Plus all the hours I've spent editing it. Which is probably the same again. No, I'll try and build in the shade first. I have no idea if this is going to be airtight. I'm just going to put that block back that I ground out before. Repeatedly press the wrong keys. I want to see if I can get this to airtight soon. $7,000 in Space Engineers soon. You won't be a noob at it. Yep. I would say though, I've probably... I'm in a weird position because of all you guys telling me the things that I've stuffed up, I've definitely learnt more about Space Engineers since I started making tutorials than before I started making them. Because I've definitely learnt a lot from that. I know the refinery won't be airtight. I'm going to do the same thing to the refinery as I did to the custom turret controller, and I'll just cover it up. I only need 2 blocks to cover it. Then I weld up the floor, weld up the doors, and we should be good. As the sun goes down, I think we'll get there. Egon, looking at highest number of hours in a game is... I think it's interesting on a personal level, but I don't find it particularly interesting on a competitive level. Because there are things that happen in... And there are people who just do all sorts of weird stuff just to get those hours up for I don't know what reason. Thanks, Corndog. But... I'm very much of the opinion that it's only interesting when you're looking at your own, because I think that's where it actually is interesting. It's like, oh, I've spent what? I spent how many hours doing this? It's both depressing and interesting at the same time. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's weld that one up. But yeah, there are lots of things like this where you can compare to others, but that's not where I think it ends up being interesting. There are plenty of blocks that are cheaper than the ones I'm building, yes. Should I have built them? Yes. Did I at least do some of this with half slabs? Yeah. I improved the outcome slightly, but I didn't probably do it by enough. 7,000 hours equals 291 days. Great. Now I want to know, how far am I away from having played an entire year of Space Engineers? I am 1,720 hours off. Will Space Engineers 2 stop me from getting to that? That is the only question I can think of. $7,000 hours is 3.5 work years. At 40, are you assuming, yeah, 40 hours per week? I haven't had many jobs where I actually worked 40 hours per week. Yeah, well, let's think about it. We've got SE2 would need to have multiplayer before it would have a chance of displacing Space Engineers. So that's realist, like based on the pace of their vertical slices, that's 2027. Unless their pace shoots up for some reason. So would I get 1,200 hours in a year? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really want to think about it. Oh, I'm out of iron again. No, bad wrong. This has happened badly. I've been very slow getting down here.
Inventory full.
Keep running out of iron. How many years have I been playing for? I bought Space Engineers in
Health low.
May of 2014 or something. Somewhere around there. How long has Reggie been playing? I don't know. Not that many hours. Not as many as you'd think. 'Cause I haven't really used that account for much and I haven't used it for a while. Have I got more ice? Yes, I do. Let's pop that there for now. Let's eat some of that. Get my health up a little bit faster. Yes, TFE. I'm aware you have a physical copy that you bought in eBay Games. I also have a physical copy that I bought off eBay a few years back. But my physical copy is now unique. My physical copy has traveled all the way to Prague and back. So did you sit on the game for a bit before you really started playing it regularly and finally clicked? No. No, I was pretty much into Space Engineers right from when I bought it, because I got it once it had survival mode, and I was into it pretty quickly because I'd recently given up on my Eve addiction, so I had a lot of time. Thanks, Ed Hunter. Thank you for 10 months, because that Eve addiction had left me in a slightly different social situation to what I'd been in prior to having said addiction. Definitely contributed to some relationship breakdown that would have happened anyway, but it definitely contributed to the pace at which that happened. Okay, how much iron am I going to get? I think I should probably get another load. Nope, I should derad. No, I ran a trade empire. That was my thing in Eve. I ran a solo trade empire in high sec because, well, that was what I had time to do. What I made time to do. So yes, I am spending time adding a little bit of detail that is purely aesthetic. The exposure is not a mod, no. Vanilla, it's just a setting. I have turned it up to pain. That's the best way I can describe the level that I'm currently working at. It is making everything slow, but it is giving me a great chance to just chat a lot, which I'm enjoying.
Health low. Low health.
Health low. If I ever make a do a playthrough that is where radiation is a big part of it, I think I'm going to need to make a chat command for radiation. Because, yeah, the radiation has two different types. There's radiation and solar radiation. And I'm going to use the game names for the two because that makes it easier. Radiation comes from places like Europa. It's got background radiation. And also from damaged reactors. Possibly even intact reactors. I haven't messed around with that yet. And then there's solar radiation, which is anytime I'm in the sun, I'm getting cooked. And cooked fast. And the sun radiation is the worst of the two in some regards, but in other regards is better because the sun one I can avoid. The other one I cannot. But all in service of trying to learn. I wanted to learn something, and I am learning something. What I'm learning? Well, this is really quite doable. May not be a super fun way to play, but it is very doable. And I still stand by my opinion that I expressed when I saw Wasted try this approach of why? Why, man? You already get angry at space engineers all the time. Why would you do this to yourself? It's not a good idea.
Your health is low.
Well, I've made myself a sunshade, so I can hide from the sun. I just can't hide from the radiation very easily at the moment. I'm close, though. I've welded up the floor. If I weld up those 2 blocks, and maybe the one on the back of the custom turret controller, then I just weld up those doors and I have an airtight space. So I think this is airtight once the door's in. Ow. The ice in the corner is not going to be a problem. The way air tightness works in Space Engineers is if you line up enough airtight faces of blocks, then they are airtight. And it's all about the block faces, not about any sort of other thing. So you can make voxels look airtight if you weld up blocks that are hidden underneath them. Which I've done in some places before. We need to weld that one up. That would help. And you can see my radiation level is now going down. But it's about to go back up because I'm going to have to open that door. But I'll wait till I've done all the production of things first. Is that a new sound for the assembler? No. A few updates back, like quite a few back, they did something with the sound when you use Build Planner to make it get really loud if you've got lots of stuff you're adding to the queue. I've tried to fix that with Sneaky Sounds and have not successfully done so. Oh, I don't have a tank, so there's no depressurizing I can do. There we go. I have an airtight space. Or I have access to cargo. Now to decide how to... I think... that's pretty good. Need a light in here. We're 3 hours in, and with 1 reload, because of me destroying my survival kit, I've managed to do this. Yeah. Yeah, I should put some of the ice that I've got into the O2H2 gen. Huh. There are mods out there that now allow you to exchange the wolves for pigs and stuff like that, but I guess an easier mod would be to just change the sound. Just change it to something completely ridiculous. Like maybe like a clown horn. Mythics, the stream on Saturday was always going to be a bit dubious since I was in Melbourne, i.e. not where I live. And so it was always going to be a thing that was iffy. And then on my end, and then on Shaq's end, he had a storm and his power went out while we were getting things set up. And at that point we kind of thought, well, look, we can struggle through a stream, not knowing when we're going to lose power, and I'm not going to be able to stream anyway.
Inventory full.
It was all just going to be a bit messy. Or we can just call it and do what we're planning on doing, which is we're going to come back to it on Friday. My Friday. Should have that part of the stream schedule updated by shortly after this stream. But I have not got a recollection of whether I've updated it yet. Oh, that wasn't great for power. That was a thing. That was indeed a thing. Let's get this battery. Do I have enough stuff? I think I do. Fun music wolves. How do I paste settings for things? Okay, so with build vision, you can highlight something. When you bring it up properly, you press insert. That copies everything. That selects everything to be copied. Then you press page up to copy, and then you go to a different block of the same type, and you press page down to paste. That's it. Very handy for getting light settings done up properly. Insert, page up, page down. Mythics, if you're ever unsure about a stream, Discord is the place to check, because that's the only reasonable place I can post info. Discord is always the way to go for updated info on anything YouTube, Twitch, whatever related. It's Discord. Trying to do that through any other platform is just really difficult. And Twitch's schedule stuff cancels the stream if it's not on. It does weird stuff. But you can also often open, as Stark said, you can open up chat even if the stream is not live. And there may well be people who know the answers, because they're also looking at Discord. Yeah. As Stark said, Twitch removes a stream from the schedule, whether it's once its scheduled time has come, whether the stream has started or not. So if you check 1 minute after, and I haven't gone live till 2 minutes after, it'll look cancelled when you check, even though it's just about to start. Oh yeah, sometimes while there's people check things. Hey, Avak. Twitch's schedule's actually... You know what? I am openly very negative about Twitch a lot of the time. But their schedule is actually pretty good. That one showing a Twitch's schedule as stream has ended issue aside, their schedule's actually good. Because it shows... It does things in proper local time. But we found out recently that it even updates when my local time changes. So when my daylight savings started, it updated every stream time. Which was pretty cool. Awesome. I have a battery. I have a pressurized space. I have food. I have power. I think I can say from here it's just a game of being patient, right? There's not really anything more that I have to do to say that that's Europa. Like, I can build up a thruster, I can get off this place. Bed or cryo, yeah, I can do that. But yeah, in just over 3 hours, this is doable. Which is, pretty cool. Probably have to make something. Why can't I make a bed? Oh, interior wall, of course. Yeah. I think I'm gonna say that's success, right? That should have been my goal for the day. What if you run out of ice? Oh, some of those what ifs. Who knows? How would I ever manage to survive without ice on Europa? What would I do? I just don't know. So when it comes to survival craft and mechanics, where does Space Engineers sit compared to, say, Stationeers? Because my experience notwithstanding, saying I'm basically set after 3 hours seems wild. How to say this in the best way? Space Engineers' survival mechanics are rudimentary, and mostly there as a framing device for the construction building mechanics. So the cool stuff you do in Space Engineers is build cool stuff. So I need a chair. Let's make a chair, so I don't have to go outside in the radiation. No, not chairless lab desk. Oh, seat? Yeah, there we go. Actually, let's go spectator cam. That's gonna be better. So the cool stuff you can do in Space Engineers is this. This thing that is capable of spinning around in all axes, smacking into things, and even being used to make catapults. The survival mechanics are just a framing device for that, and they are very limited as a result. So comparing it to Stationeers, I would put Stationeers at one end of this spectrum, and I would put Space Engineers at the other in terms of survival mechanics. When it comes to construction mechanics, I would put Space Engineers at one end and Stationeers at the other. Because Stationeers doesn't really have construction restrictions aside from don't put two things on top of each other. The being able to whack down a frame and then everything is supported is minimal. But Space Engineers, you do have to, if you want to make contraptions like this, you really have to think about it. They recently added more survival mechanics with the food and stuff like that, and that's kind of where this Europa start became more interesting and much more difficult to get going.
Meteor storm
Like I think
inbound.
most players would probably have struggled to. Like, I literally did not practice on Europa. I didn't really look at anything about Europa other than stuff I already knew, and we were able to get to here. I think most people who'd played as many hours as I have probably would be able to do the same. But yeah, Stationeers has some of, if not the best food mechanics in any survival game I played, I would say. Because the way you can automate them with the Lowrys and stuff like that makes for a really cool experience. Whereas in Space Engineers, the food is just, it's just there. So if you're after a survival game, Space Engineers is not it. If you're after a building game, Space Engineers will absorb your life. Or can. And I love building. I love having survival mechanics to frame my building, but I love building. Yeah, Avak, it's closer to Empyrean, but Empyrean sits between Space Engineers and Stationeers. So I'd go Space Engineers, Empyrean, and then Stationeers. But with Empyrean and Space Engineers probably being closer, especially after this update. But they're really not that far apart. Like, Empyrean has more options, but it doesn't have more stuff to it, really. The farming is simple, the blocks go together, and you're done. So yeah, I think having Empyrean as a framing device, like as a the thing to put on that spectrum is quite helpful. I don't know where to put No Man's Sky because it's broken. It's so broken. If you try and play it in multiplayer, it's just broken. So I can't put it anywhere. And yes, that was my water bottle. I knocked it over. Yeah, one of the saddest things in Empyrean is being unable to move around on a moving ship. For how much physics that game lacks, it should have at least had that. It needed that. Experiencing your builds as you move around is important. Willie Can, dual universe to me scream, and I am probably wrong, but wow, does it ever scream, we bought right now, we bought the IP to this, and we now need to try and get as much money out of it as possible because the venture capitalist backers want at least something. That MyDU thing that they've got seems iffy. Getting emails about it wanting to do a revenue share with me based on the sales I can push? Nuh-uh. I am not touching that. No Man's Sky, if you look away from your smelters for 5 minutes, all the stuff in them gets eaten by the void. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. That's, yep, that's consistent with my experience recently. Space Engineers physics with Empyreon's grand galactic scale would be an epic game. Could any of our PCs run such a thing? Probably not. But yes, would be cool. I don't think any rational player of Space Engineers and Empyreon would not froth at the idea of playing some combination of the two, where you get to explore a universe that is populated, that has stuff in it, with the building mechanics and physics interactions between objects that Space Engineers has. Yeah, you know, I don't even know what Starbase is up to. But yes, life support in an abandoned hospital does seem somewhat apt. But yeah, I am going to call this as a complete success on Europa, as I have another stream that I'm going to be doing starting in a couple of minutes, where we're going to check out something new. Docked. Let's play with a bunch of big cranes on a massive dockyard game from the people who made SnowRunner and Roadcraft. But it's only single player, so the stuff that I've run into was issues in those games, it doesn't matter, because it's single player. So I'm going to do that shortly. I will wrap this up here and end my recording now. See ya.